Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And welcome again, everyone. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We do appreciate it. We've looked at the stats, and we are growing. So continue liking our posts, sharing our things, and sharing the podcast just with your friends generally.
And we have some future social media endeavors coming through. Right, Tim? We've got some plans.
Absolutely. We've got some plans to try and grow our, grow our reach. Is that the correct word?
I think it works.
Yeah, something along those lines. So stay tuned. Yeah, so stay tuned. We've got big things coming. So anyway, before we get into the topic, which is my turn this week, we always like to do a little tip of the day. So over to you, Joy. What do you have in the realm of a tip?
So this is oddly specific considering what we've been saying. I bought a new desk, everybody, because my last desk was bought in the height of, we all got sent home one day because of COVID and didn't know when the heck we'd be back at work, right? Mm-hmm. And Tim can testify because he literally had to spend the entire time sending people home with IT equipment. By the way, I have your printer and your scanner. I still need to bring back. They're packaged up now. But anyway, so the desk I bought was nice. It worked okay, but it was very not wide enough. So when you're buying a desk on Amazon, just actually read the dimensions, not like I did. My scanner wouldn't fit on the desk thing. To be fair, I didn't end up using it because I made sure to kind of convert everything to electronic anyway. So it didn't really matter, but I brought it home with me just in case. So I bought a new desk, and as Tim has informed me of, if you guys hear me beating on it, it's because I don't understand. Well, I've told you guys this. I swear to you, I did not develop what's known as object permanence. It's where, like, when a kid knows where their body is in relation to the world. I didn't develop that, which is why I injure myself a lot and I'm very clumsy. There's actually a disease. I swear I haven't not been diagnosed, but I'm fairly certain. The other things are, and if you listen to the podcast, you're like, yeah, she's right. Talking fast and talking loud. So put those three things together, you basically have joy. So if you guys hear me hitting the desk, it's because I bought a new desk that fits where I want it, and it's actually wide enough. My tip of the day, though, is measure the area you're going to put the desk in, and also make sure it's wide enough before you buy it, so you don't do like I did and end up having to buy a second desk for another $150. However many months later.
Well, I think that's a good tip. So what you're basically saying is before you buy anything from the Amazons, look on there, look at the dimensions, check it's exactly what you want before this massive box arrives at your house.
Did I ever tell you, Tim, about the diamond painting experience? So I do what's known as diamond painting. Tim's seen them in my office. It's where you take little jewels and it's very therapeutic. Well, when my previous dog, who I was very indebted to, passed, which Tim knows, I took time off of work when he passed. It was a very grieving situation for me. I'm a big animal lover. Close to his passing, my husband got a custom diamond painting of him and our dog, our roommate's dog, who lives upstairs. I live in a duplex. Charles didn't pay attention to the size that he ordered, and he ordered it in centimeters instead of inches. It is the size of a blanket. I will not finish it until I'm 80 years old. Because diamond painting is literally jewel after jewel after jewel. You just manually sit there and put it in. So there's another perspective of why you should really pay closer attention to your Amazon purchases. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Fabulous.
We're not sponsored.
Well, I have a tip for you. And this is like an old adage, but I just want to, again, very specific. And that is the early bird catches the worm. So my tip, following on from that, if there's something that you want and it's very special and unique and you have to be up early for it. Don't get up later and then find that you've missed what you want. And let me explain. So, Brian May has released his second solo album, Another World. It's not out yet. It comes out in April. And last time he released his previous album, Back to the Light, he came out with a signed box set. And he announced that it was going to be available on a certain day, and it's going to be a secret link on his Instagram, and there's only going to be a handful available and all this kind of stuff. So last night I was on a Zoom quiz, And as I was just scrolling just before I went to bed, I saw Brian May posted saying, tomorrow, 11 a.m. UK time, click the link. Well, the link will be available to click, and you can get a pre-order of the Another World box set, which, again, is signed by Brian May. Very exciting for a nerdy super fan like me. So I didn't set an early alarm because I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I was in the right frame of mind for it. I don't know. But I didn't set an alarm. But I woke up early this morning, used the lavatory like you do, and I came back and I looked at the clock and I went, 5 to 6. I wonder what's going on with this link. And I went onto Instagram and boom, guess who's ordered and has a signed Brian May Another World box set.
Yeah. So that's so weird. That's your tip. So Charlie, my husband, he got up at 5 a.m. this morning and went and did. My husband works full time, but he also does like DoorDash. He does all the gig work too. My husband is all about making that money, which is good for me because I can buy the things I want, like $120 desks. But he went out and he's like, I'm going to go do the breakfast brush before, because he works evenings from home. And he's like, we're going to do the breakfast brush and do whatever. And he's like, there's this Funko Pop, which if you guys don't know this because you've never been to my house, well, no, you haven't, I don't think. My husband has about 2,000 Funko Pops to be exact in my house, and that's not an exaggeration. Mm-hmm. There was some Funko he wanted. He went at 8 a.m. and was standing in front of the mall in our area, Tim, waited outside for 2 hours, was fourth in line, and got his Funko he wanted.
That's, and sometimes you have to do that. If there's something you want and it's very unique and very special to you, you need to get it. Now, I don't condone Black Friday queuing because that is ridiculous. Like you're like, is it November? It's freezing cold. You've queued up for 5 hours and you go into Target and you buy a flat screen TV for $120 off.
Buy a 15-year-old girl over DVD. No, I'm not doing that.
That's stupid. But if it's a ticket, if it's a rare Funko, if it's a signed box set, if it's a piece of art that really makes you happy, something like that. I can see why you want to do that.
Yeah. So it's just funny you said that because he was very excited today that he was able to do that.
That's fantastic. Okay, so before we get into the topic, we're just going to try something else out. We might be popping these on YouTube just so you can see what we look like if you don't know what we look like. But we've decided, or I decided, well, Joy and I both decided. It was a joint thing. That's how we work these things out. We decided to do a CD of the week, which is my music medium of choice. So this week's CD of the week that I'm recommending is a CD by a band called The Beards. And it's called Having a Beard is the New Not Having a Beard. And let me tell you about The Beards. The Beards are an Australian band. They are no longer out there playing, though they were going for about 10 odd years. And they are very unique in so much that every one of their songs is about having a beard or the virtue of having a beard.
It's that comedy band you told me about, right?
Yeah, and it's comedy lyrics. It's sort of Weird Al-ish.
Oh, no, this is the one you sent to Charlie to look at because my husband has a beard.
However, it's actually really good music. I mean, like Weird Al's good music, but I mean, if you took some of the Weird Al lyrics and what have you, it's still comedy. This is actually really well done music by really talented musicians. When
Charlie was playing the YouTube videos that night when you sent them to him, I was like, these are pretty good.
Yeah, they're a great band. And they came to the United States and I didn't get to see them. And they broke up because they just couldn't make it work. I think they were on the road for about 10 years.
I thought you were going to say they couldn't keep growing their beards. I don't know why. That's what I thought that was. Okay. I'll be here all week.
Bam. And if I could just recommend two songs from this album, this is probably their magnum opus. This is probably the best album they have. I've got all their albums and this is probably the best one. Okay. I would say you should consider Having Sex with a Bearded Man is a rock classic, and the video for it is hilarious, utterly hilarious.
You recommended this to my husband because he has a beard, and that's what's continue.
But yes, but the video is great. It has a twist at the end. It's fantastic. And their Let It Be on this is there's just nothing better than a beard. It is their Let It Be style song.
It really is their opus or opus.
Exactly. So there we go. This is what I'm recommending that everyone goes out and listen to. The Beards. Having a beard is the new not having a beard. Absolutely fantastic. If you've got the CD, which I doubt you have, because I think they were not many press and I paid through the nose for it. It has a big poster in it and it has great artwork. But anyhow,
that's a really cute album cover too. Like, it's adorable.
Yeah, the whole thing folds out. It's like this massive piece of artwork.
The little animals, I think, right?
No, they're them with beards, like Mount Rushmore.
Oh, okay. I see what it is now. Sorry, you guys, we're on Zoom. It's hard for me to make out, but it's still cute.
Yeah.
I like it.
Anyhow, there we go. All right, so today's topic. Now, we've looked at lots of different topics. We've done games, we've looked at TV shows, we've looked at films, we've looked at concerts, all different things. And I thought I'd just try something a little bit different in the topic stakes. Now, as many people know, in our house we have a cat. I'm a cat lover. The boy's name is Jack. We adopted him when he was about 5 years old, 6 years old, we think. We don't know his exact age. He's probably 12 or 13 now. He's got a little bit more grumpy in his old age, but, you know, he's a cool cat, and he probably rules his house. So, honouring that, I decided to pull lots of songs which had cat in the title. So this episode is cat songs.
Okay, so is it going to be about cats? Are there cats in the title? I need more details.
So these songs will have cats in the title.
Okay.
All right.
I can't even think of one song off the top of my head. This should be interesting. Continue.
Okay. So I'm opening with this song. This is an Al Stewart song from 1976, The Year of the Cat.
Okay, Year of the Cat.
Are you familiar with that song, Year of the Cat?
It is. Yes, I am. But for some reason, I thought for a second we're talking about like the Chinese Year of the Cat, which makes no sense because this is a music podcast. Oh, God. Okay. I think work has broke me this week, Tim. I might actually be broken. Is there even a Chinese symbol for the cat? Do you even know what you are? I'm a horse. I
think I'm a rat.
So you're the arch enemy of the cat.
I don't know. Is it the month or is it the actual year?
It's like the year you were born.
Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give this a Goog live on air. Hold on, 1974 Chinese year animal. There we are. Hang on a second. No. This is everything's coming together. Tiger.
Oh, so you are a cat.
Yeah.
For some reason, though, I really was thinking, I thought you were saying this is the year of the cat, like you were going to say a song that's from the year of the cat. And then I was like, no, that's the song, Joy. This is an on-air exclusive of my brain breaking. Just actually fell out of my head. Okay, well, I mean, that's a good song, but that's not where I went with it at all.
Well, what did you say you were? What was your zodiac sign?
I'm a horse.
You're a horse, and I'm a tiger.
Well, tiger's kind of cooler than a horse, I guess, but
well, yeah, that ties into the a few episodes back. I was saying about how much I enjoyed the Siegfried and Roy podcast with the white tigers. Ladies and gentlemen, look, it all ties together. Isn't that perfect?
But didn't they just have like the Lunar New Year, like for the Asian Chinese calendar or whatever?
I think so. I mean, I don't pay a lot of attention to that, but it sounds something that would like it would have happened.
That's what we're celebrating here. Or what's the next song? Because I just made that all about not music. Continue. It's going to be a heck of a record, guys.
Okay, so this one is, I haven't got the actual year, but I think it's very early 60s. It's going to be late 50s. I can't remember. But this is the Beatles and Three Cool Cats. Now, what is unique about this? This was from their original Decca demo. So they did a demo record for Decca Records, and whoever was over A&R at Decca heard it and went, yeah, they're all right, but I don't think they've got a lot of potential. And then they signed with EMI Parlophone, and then boom, the Beatles happened.
The guy who did that has to be like, I hate my life.
Yeah, it was probably in the realm of business decisions he's made in his life. That was probably the poorest one.
And that happens a lot. Like you'll hear of songs that became famous and they were rejected by artists, or the producer didn't like how they did it. You know what I mean, Tim? That happens all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, it's always just one person's opinion of another person. But equally, the guy from Decca could have signed someone that they invested some money in and they flopped really badly. So you just never know.
Well, and let's be honest, there are songs from famous musicians that I don't really care for. Mm-hmm. And if I were the studio, I'd probably I don't like this, but 74 other million people do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to tell. You can't really judge them based off of that, because that guy could have went and signed another artist who did fantastic. This was just their fail,
Exactly. And this song did end up on the Beatles anthology. I used to have a CD. I've now got the digital copy of it, and it was just called the Original Decca Tapes, which has had their original demo in it. But after the Beatles anthology came out, all that stuff got remastered and what have you, and ended up on the anthology.
Of course, but yeah, I don't know. That's one of those times where you probably kick yourself, but at the same time, it probably all works out in the end.
Exactly. Much like Pete Best. Pete Best, the original drummer from the Beatles, who got replaced by Ringo.
I know, but I just don't feel like the Beatles would have been the Beatles without Ringo. There's something very special about his personality, and just I don't know. He is the kind of person that I think envisions what I think of when I think of the Beatles. Maybe it's the peace and love thing, but not just that. He just seems like a very average guy. And I think that's why a lot of people love the Beatles, because when it comes down to it, they were very average men.
Yeah, but Ringo is very, I think we've discussed this before, Ringo is incredibly straightforward. Yes, he's a Beatle. Yes, he's very wealthy, and, he carries that with him. But we hear him in interviews, he's the most straightforward one. All the other ones are very sort of avant-garde and very arty. And... Yep. It's in the anthology. John Lennon released an album where him and Yoko are naked on the cover, called Two Virgins, and then Paul is saying, oh, it's very deep. It reminds me of this particular piece of art that I saw, and George was like, oh, the people are going to love this. This is a thing. And then Ringo's like, you got your what's it hanging out, mate? I don't know what's to see that.
Well, it's kind of this is going to sound mean. There's this Family Guy sketch where Peter and Lois do a lot of acid, and they're trying to play some folksy music, and they've got their little acoustic guitar out, and what they think they were doing versus what everybody else heard were two very different scenarios.
Yeah.
They saw a very avant-garde, we're fancy, we're cool, this is the music, but they were really just really high. And what everybody else heard was a different perspective. Yeah.
Fabulous. But yeah, peace and love. What do
I mean? Do you mean to tell me that the Beatles did drugs? What?
No.
Never. Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds about his son.
Yeah, it's a painting his son brought home. Julian Lennon brought it home one day and said, Dad, look at this. It's Lucy. She's in the sky. There's some diamonds. Oh, very nice, son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Apparently.
And I was born yesterday. All right. What's the next song?
Okay. So this one is from 1998. This is 1998. Look at this. You always tell me my music taste ended in 1994.
I didn't know where Tim was going with that for a minute. He paused. It was aggressive. Okay, that's fair. Okay.
All
1998. I was 8 years old.
Yeah, I was 50. And
Tim's actually 107, everyone. Continue.
Yeah, it's fine. And this is the Brian Setzer Orchestra, and this cat's on a hot tin roof.
Oh, so have you ever seen the musical Cat on a Hot Tin Roof? Did you know that was a musical based off of a book? That goes back full forward.
Well, I knew it was a musical. I haven't seen it, and I think that's where the song comes from. But the Brian Setzer Band Orchestra, or the Brian Setzer Orchestra version of this, is a favorite of mine because he's defined that rockabilly guitar, that Gretsch guitar, Fender amp, the reverb, that very particular sound and technique that he had. He has defined that kind of thing. And if you want that style of guitar, Brian Setzer is the person you need to go to because he does such a good version of that.
Well, it's also based off of a book, just so you know. The musical is based off of a book, which I'm familiar with the musical. I don't know that I'm particularly familiar with this version, but I'm familiar with the song. And or the orchestra versions of it. I've heard many of them, and it could really work well with the rockabilly sound. So I need to go seek that out because that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's off the album called The Dirty Boogie.
I'll go give it a goog after we're done with this because that sounds pretty cool. And, I'm a musical theater nerd. So for me, that's silly. When I hear Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, that's where I go.
Yeah. And I said, Brian Setzer does a great version. He also, on another one of his albums, does a great version of the theme tune to Batman as well.
Can I ask you a question, Tim? On your list of Cat songs, is there one Cat song that I really hope is on there? Is it all obscure? Or is there one very obvious Cat song?
There's one by somebody who plays guitar and has, how can I say, controversial political opinions. That particular song is not on my list.
Thank you. That's what I was going to ask. And if you do not know, we will not mention his name.
Yes.
He will not remain named. I just really hoped he wasn't going to come up because me. I have to say something. Okay.
Yeah,
what's the next Cat song?
Let's put it this way, Joy. He's not my uncle, and that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, on to the next one. On to the next one. This is The Cure from 1983 and Love Cats.
I thought this one was going to come up.
Yeah, this is a fantastic song, and it's one of those songs that they seem to play at like university freshers' balls and stuff, and they probably will to the end of time.
Yeah, it's one of those songs, and it's always very interesting to me, the songs that tend to like you hear them and you always think of those situations like a school dance or something, right? Mm-hmm. So, question. In Europe, how many school dances do you guys have? Are school dances is a thing, or is that really just an American thing?
Well, let me tell you, in my school career, there was a disco once in primary school when I was 6 years old or 7 years old. And from then on, the amount of school dances I went to was zero.
Was that because you chose it and go to them, or they just didn't really exist?
Just didn't exist.
So I've always wondered if that was American trait, because I feel like it has to be. Because for me, actually, I have great memories of school dances. Like that's like where I've. So there's a couple. I'm going to get into the. We talk about the music, like the stories everybody wants to hear. So there's 3 songs that makes me think of my specific high school experience, or whatever you call it. What's the European equivalent to high school, Tim?
Well, I said secondary school.
Secondary school. So it's so specific too. It is. I can't say this seriously. Kung Fu Fighting.
Okay.
It is Friends in Low Places.
Okay.
And it's Nitty Gritty Dirt Dam, Fishing in the Dark.
Okay.
Because for some reason, every grade in like when you're going through school, every grade has like different dances, and there's like these songs that like became like your grade song, or like so like I can distinctly remember in my high school prom, my senior year, all of me and my friends singing that one very loud. Like those 3 songs were very predominant in my high school 3 dances, which it's probably not that shocking because let's be honest, Friends in Low Places, that's an obvious go-to, right? Everybody who's ever worked in the South and plays a bar or whatever is going to play Friends in Low Places. It's a genius song. There's actually an extended version, and if you've never heard it, it's great. Have you ever heard the extended version, Tim?
No, I've played it in a band. It may have been the extended version. I don't know.
I'll have to tell you. And then you played Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Fishing in the Dark, I'm sure. It's just a go-to in the South, I feel. The Kung Fu Fighting one, I don't know where that comes from. Maybe Carl Douglas had an in with our school DJ. That's his name, right? Carl Douglas?
I think so. Yeah, it sounds about right.
Something like that. So it's very interesting to me you said that about that being like played in all the dances. But like there's very distinct songs like that in America. I don't know why. It's
strange. There was nothing like that when I was at secondary school. There was not prom. There was nothing. It's like you went to school, and we had a band at school called Utopia, and we were the first school band for decades. And
Weird.
I think there was maybe bands after the fact, but that was it. There was nothing like that ever happened. You went to school and then you left, and then when I left school, there was no graduation or anything.
I know that's the pageantry seems very American.
Yeah, I can remember my last time I ever went to school. I went into school, I picked up my A-level results. They were utterly disappointing, and then I left, and that was the end of that.
And every time you guys say that, so we had something called SATs which is what, no, I'm sorry. Let me restate this. We had SOLs, which sounds like a bad thing, which is what we had to take every year to pass like a certain standard. At the end of the year, you have your SATs to get in college. Anyway, when you guys say that, like you say like you're whatever, it makes me, all I can think of is it sounds so bad and so American. Oh, the Harry Potter where they have to take their owls to see where they're going to go or whatever. And now I realize she based it off of whatever test you're talking about. Oh. J.K. Rowling did or whatever. What did you call it?
A levels.
So, okay, owls, A levels.
Yeah,
I now
that's
get
probably
it.
where it came from.
So I base all of my perception of what high school or secondary school in Europe is off of Harry Potter.
Well, I mean, it may be different now. I mean, it was the 90s when I was there. But certainly there was no pageantry. There was no sports teams. There was no pride. There was none of that. It was like you said, you went to school and then you left school and that was the end of that. You know
what the most utterly ridiculous thing in America is pep rallies.
Yeah, Hannah's explained those to me. And again, that didn't exist.
That concept is just ridiculous. I'm sorry if you like them, guys, but it's ridiculous. All right, what is the next cat song? Because this took a turn.
Okay, this is from Harry Chapin, and this is Cats in the Cradle.
Which is a great song.
It is a great song, and it was covered in the 90s by Ugly Kid Joe.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those songs that as soon as you say the Cats in a Cradle, it goes, like, the next line comes through my head because it's very stick in your head type song.
Yeah, it's an earworm of sorts, I think.
I think so. If you know it, it's not like complete. I don't know. I don't think it's an obscure song.
No, and I think that much like a lot of covers, like some people think Live and Let Die is a Guns N' Roses song, for example. And I think there is a certain proportion of people who would think Cats in the Cradle is an Ugly Kid Joe song.
That's probably a good point. And that's not to insult them. That's just what they've been exposed to.
That's true, because some people would remember that song from being in the charts, wouldn't necessarily be a big music nerd or a music buff and wouldn't go back and find that stuff out. Yeah,
and there's songs that even I, as someone who, is a known music nerd, have found out later, oh my God, that's a remake, and I never knew it, later on in life. It's probably hit all of us before. Yeah, have you ever had experience like that, Tim?
Yeah, 100%. So Status Quo, I think... Have we discussed Status Quo on the podcast?
Yeah, a few times because I'm kind of familiar with them, but not that much.
Yeah, Status Quo are mostly a UK phenomenon. I think they're known in Europe and they're known in Australia as well, but certainly in the United States, it never happened for them. Some people would know of Status Quo if you was a rock fan, but it's not an everyday household name like it is in the UK. Mm-hmm. And they had a song called In the Army Now. And it was on their album called It's in the Army Now. And it wasn't a traditional Status Quo song. Most Status Quo songs are like a 3-chord boogie. That's the kind of music that it is, and they're famous for it. They opened Live Aid with Rockin' All Over the World, which again actually is a cover of John Fogerty's song. But anyhow, yeah. But they are known in the UK as the Rockin' All Over the World band, Down Down, and all that kind of stuff. But In the Army Now, it came out and everyone knew it and loved it, and it was a big hit, and it became like the unofficial anthem of the UK Army. It's a whole thing.
I didn't know this, but I know where you're going with it.
Yeah, and then literally 10 years ago or so, I found out reading an article, it was a cover of a German band. And I was like, what?
See, what's weird is I've never heard the status Quo version. I've heard the original.
Yeah. So I went and found the YouTube video of this band performing it, and it's almost identically note for note. That's the weird thing about it. It's not even like it sounds different. Status Quo remade the song almost identically.
And I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I told Tim about this. There's one song, and I spent my entire life thinking it was the Village People, and it wasn't. God, what song was that, Tim? It's by some random obscure 70s artist we talked about. And I seriously, y'all, if you could have dead put me on the spot, won $1 million, I'd have told you it was the Village People. It sounds like the Village People, but I can't remember who it was now. I'll think of it after the podcast and put it up in the chat on the Facebook. There's one song though, like I did one day I was listening to it and I was like, just getting, and then I looked at it and I was like, what do you mean this isn't the Village People? No, it's Andy. What is his name? Oh, that's going to drive me insane. I'll think of it in a minute. Okay. I'll yell Stevie Nicks to let you know that I thought.
Okay, yeah, that would be the way that you would alert us.
That's the appropriate response anytime you need to think of anything.
Well, I told you, I really need to do this. I need to get these bumper stickers made up with the logo, and it will say Stevie Nicks.
Just in all caps. That episode will go down in infamy. All right. When I think of it in a minute, Andy Kim, is that his name?
Andy Kim.
Was it him who wrote that one song that I could have swore was the Village People? What song does he know for?
Hey, Rock Me Baby. It's Andy Kim. Rock Me Baby, rock me soul now.
No, that's the one that I thought was
Neil Diamond.
Yeah. But there's another one that I thought was see, there's another example, everyone. I went down a rabbit hole. Apparently, there's like subset of people who think that song was written by Neil Diamond. And there's even a theory that he was a ghostwriter for it, whether I can confirm or not. Reddit seems to believe that. But there's another one by the Village People that had the same revelation. Anyway. All right, Tim, what's the next cat song?
Okay. So this comes from 1989, and it comes from Janet Jackson. And this is Black Cat. Now, it comes from our album, Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation 1814. Now, I have a question for you, Joy. You're probably familiar with this song and probably familiar with the album. Do you know why it is Rhythm Nation 1814?
No.
Because R in rhythm is the 18th letter of the alphabet and N is the 14th letter of the alphabet.
I would have never guessed that. Not once would that ever came to mind.
No, and I know that from listening to America's Top 40 with Kacey Kasem.
Oh, good old. Every time I heard Kacey Kasem, I remember one day we were talking about him, and I looked right at my husband and I went, you know, he used to voice Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and he argued with me for 20 minutes. I was like, Kacey Kasem, voice Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Then he went on Google and found out I was correct. Everybody.
And I still, to this day, love the radio bit that's in the original Ghostbusters film by Kacey Kasem. It's just it's beautiful. I think I can I remember it. He says, still making headlines across the nation. The Ghostbusters are at it again. The boys in grey went to the exclusive dance club, The Rose. They bust out with a pesky poltergeist before dancing the night away with some lovely ladies who saw the disturbance. I'm Kacey Kasem, and I'm with the countdown. It was almost correct.
It's pretty close, Tim. The internet does not have to come for you now.
Okay. The internet will tell me it wasn't quite right, but off the top of my head, it wasn't too bad.
But Kacey Kasem is like, he's just so iconic. His voice is fantastic, by the way. It's so good.
And if you want to listen to America's Top 40, if you have iHeartRadio, I don't know whether that app is available internationally, but certainly here in the United States, you can get it.
I feel like it probably is now.
It probably is. And there is a classic America's Top 40 station on there that just plays 70s and 80s America's Top 40 on a loop, and it is amazing.
But like Kacey Kasem's one of those voices that even if you don't know who we're talking about, if you go put Kacey Kasem in YouTube and start playing, you'll be like, oh, it's that guy.
That guy. As I said, the guy from the voiceover bit in Ghostbusters in the middle, when Dana's in the kitchen and she's making food and she's got the radio on. And
he also voiced Shaggy.
There we are.
So if you watch old school Scooby-Doo, you'll be like, oh, that's Shaggy. Anyway, but okay. I mean, I love Kacey Kasem, though. Like, he's one of those ones that, and even the way he kind of, have you ever noticed, like, did you ever see pictures of him when he was older, Tim?
Probably.
He looks like, I'm going to say something that's nice but mean at the same time, and I don't mean it meanly. My father one time decided to try Just for Men, and he put it in his hair, and it looks like he took a black Sharpie all over his head. And we all laughed about it. I thought it was hilarious because Dad didn't find it. Dad didn't take it hard. You know what I mean, Tim? We didn't take it seriously. We all laughed about it. It was fine. Well, Kacey Kasem looked like that. Like, he looked like he was using Just for Men, and he was using it also in his eyebrows. They were very distinct. It looked like you took a Sharpie over his eye. I'll put a picture on the Instagram. Yes, it looks like he's wearing, because he had like a fake tan and he wore a lot of almost like stage makeup, I think, over the fake tan.
Mm-hmm.
But his eyebrows looks like he took a just like a marker and went right over them.
I will tell you, as I get older, one is getting close to the 50s, shall we say. And
Wait, I thought you were 107.
Well, you know it is. And in the last few years, my hair has taken more of a white tint in a few places. The side pieces started going grey first, and as I look at the top part, it starts to dazzle in a kind of whitey greyness in the top. And for a hot minute, I thought to myself, shall I try and like dye it to try and just retain this? And then like Hannah said to me, she said, if you want to do it, I'll do it for you. But she said, your scalp is very sensitive and you're just going to break out. And then I thought, who am I trying to impress at the end of the day?
Hannah just wanted a silver fox and she didn't want to tell you, Tim.
Yeah.
She's into that. No, I mean, who cares? I'm not one who cares about that kind of stuff. It's silly. Now, if you are dyeing your hair and it makes you feel good and gives you confidence, keep doing it. I'm not going to judge you for that either. You know what I mean, Tim?
Sure. And if I was, I don't know, if I was a TV presenter or if I was some kind of model or something like that, where it was important that my hair was a certain color, that's fine. That's fair enough. Or like you say, if you enjoy it or it gives you confidence or makes you happy.
I mean, for as many things as I'm saying that, I mean, there's things I do. Tim could tell you my hair is not naturally this color. I do things with my nails. Like I have those things that bring me happppiness. So
sure. And if you're a guy and that makes you happy, that's all good. But like I said, I thought about it for a very short period of time and I was like, nah.
But yeah, if you do have a very sensitive scalp, it probably would not be your favorite anyway.
No, my scalp is terrible. Like I'll get a regular haircut and then, a day after the fact, it breaks out. It's terrible.
Well, our listeners are like, good to know, Tim. Is this a music podcast? I don't know.
I was gonna say, Joe, is it supposed to be about music? I can't remember what we decided it was about when we decided to do it 55 episodes ago.
The first song you said, I dead set thought you were gonna say something else about that year of the cat. Oh. All right. What's the next cat song?
Okay, so this one comes from 1979, and this is Squeeze and Cool for Cats.
Which is a good song.
Yeah, Squeeze, I think in this country especially, they're maybe an underrated band.
I was going to say for us, I think they're like a 2-hit wonder.
Yeah, because they had Up the Junction was a song, and what's the other song they had? Pulling Muscles from a Shell.
I've never heard that song before.
Yeah, there's several other songs that they had that were pretty cool, but
how big were they in Europe? Like, were they relatively big?
They were relatively big in the 70s and 80s and maybe into the 90s too. Their original keyboard player was Jules Holland, and you might know Jules Holland from those New Year's Eve shows and YouTube videos and things like that. He's a fantastic keyboard player, and then he became like a media celebrity TV presenter type thing. But he was the original keyboard player in Squeeze.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those bands that, like, for a hot second they were popular here, but I don't think they were long-term popular.
Yeah, maybe they fall into that category of people who are US one-hit wonders, and everywhere else they had a longer career.
Maybe they're Tom Jones. I don't know.
I don't know.
I still can't get past
Tom Jones, Status Quo, Chaz and Dave are all UK institutions that anyone would know who they are.
Are there any American institutions that you don't think Europeans would know about, or does America tend to transcend more?
Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, we talked about that, yeah. But do you think that's changed now, or do you think that's pretty still standard?
I don't know if the person in the street would necessarily know who Jimmy Buffett was even at this point.
So any of our UK fans on our Facebook, please give us a message and let us know. Do you know who Jimmy Buffett is? If so, is he a standard in the UK now, or is he just lost?
Yeah, certainly, 20 years ago or whatever, can't say as I would have known who Jimmy Buffett was. And in fact, when I first came to visit here, I go to touristy places that would have a Margaritaville restaurant, and I didn't know who he was or why it was called Margaritaville, other than it was a theme restaurant.
I'll say, you just thought it was a place where people went to drink margaritas, right?
Yeah, or something like that.
I mean, that's kind of still what it is. For those of you who aren't familiar with Jimmy Buffett, he is known for this kind of beachy, kind of folksy kind of sound, right, Tim?
Yeah.
If you've never heard of him, think Margaritaville, which is, Wasting Away in Margaritaville. That's kind of the reference. And he does like these restaurants based off of it. He doesn't actually drink, which is the irony of all of it. He's just marketing on people who drink. And then he's done like just a cheeseburger in paradise is a big famous one by him. And if I were put on the spot, I could probably think of like 7. Come Monday is also Jimmy Buffett, which is my favorite Jimmy Buffett song.
Fins, Volcano. Why don't we just get drunk and do that?
What's the one that's he's like in the video and he's driving around in the Jeep and it's kind of like very cheeky? Oh, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he's just he's kind of built a brand around him, right, Tim? Like very on the beach kind of, but it's not necessarily beachy music. It's just like his sound is very kind of folksy, acoustic, beachy sound. And then he's got a lot of people. Like my best friend has a Fins Up license plate. Like her license plate says Fins Up because she's a big Jimmy Buffett fan. It's just like a thing.
Yeah, and if you're a Jimmy Buffett fan, you're a Parrot Head. They also make a Parrot Head Virginia license plate as well.
Yeah, hers has like a little parrot in the corner. But she's seen Jimmy Buffett a few times. And it's just kind of, I don't know, maybe it's like a brand. Like Jimmy Buffett's a brand, right? Yeah,
and the Margaritaville brand and the Jimmy Buffett brand, Parrot Head brand, will be around long after Jimmy Buffett has left us because it has become a cultural phenomenon that can exist outside of Jimmy Buffett, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and if you've ever heard the song "It's 5 O'clock Somewhere," it's not his song, but he comes in and he's like, what is it? They're like, what would Jimmy Buffett do? And then Jimmy Buffett shows up. You know the song, Tim, right?
Yeah.
But that's a reference to Jimmy Buffett. Anyway, so that's Jimmy Buffett, basically. I mean, I feel like he's just kind of made this brand around him.
Exactly, 100%.
Jimmy Buffett, if you're listening, we're not sponsored, but if you want to come on.
I bet Jimmy Buffett likes cats as well. I can tell.
He seems like
he seems like a kind chap that would have a cat.
Come Monday, though, Tim, is a beautiful song.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that one on the ukulele not too long. Maybe I'll post that. I'll post my version Come Monday on the Facebook chat after this one. I love that song. It's a beautiful song.
I think you should do that. I think you should put more of your ukulele music on our Facebook page or our Instagram page.
Tim can tell you the last one I posted, I got a lot of compliments on that one. You could tell there's been a progression. It's been a progression.
There we are. Part of our global marketing campaign.
Anyway, but yeah, I just think, I mean, a lot of his songs very cheeky, alcohol related, but Come Monday is a beautiful song.
There we are. A top tip from Joy for a Jimmy Buffett song to get into.
It is true. Kind of reminds me of God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. But anyway, what's the next cat song, Tim?
Okay, well, how could I not mention Tom Jones? We've already mentioned Tom Jones, but I'm bringing this back to Tom Jones.
That was the other one I thought was coming.
Yeah, no, this is fine because it's Tom. There's no flies on Tom. There's no dodgy ideas going on with Tom. Tom is what you get, and this is What's New Pussycat.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It's the most unenthusiastic version of that. No, I mean, I love Tom Jones. He's just not an icon in America. So the first time I learned that on this podcast, it was mind-blowing. No, actually, I did learn this on that podcast. I watched the UK version of The Voice.
Mm-hmm.
He's a host on it, and everybody was just like patting his back the entire time, Tim. And I'm like, doesn't that guy have like 3 songs? And they're all like, no. And I'm like, what's happening?
Tom Jones is a legend. He's a British institution. Tom, always a Welsh institution actually, but he in the UK he is Tom. He is the voice.
Okay, so that man's had some plastic surgery done though, right?
I don't know if he has.
I think them cheeks, man, Tim. Because when I was watching The Voice, the cheeks didn't move with the mouth.
Yeah, but he's very old. I think he's like 80 years old or something, and he still has that booming Welsh voice. It's fantastic.
No, his voice is gorgeous. I love him as a musician.
Oh,
it's just very interesting to me that it just let's see. Tom Jones' age. 81.
See?
In case anyone was wondering, Tina Turner is also 82. I don't know why she's the first person that pops up under Tom Jones.
Yeah, when you give Tom Jones a goog, it's typical that Tina Turner's going to pop up.
And then Rod Stewart's 77, Elton John is 74, and Paul Anaka is 80.
There we are.
Hot off the presses, everybody. We give them the real down to 2022 news, Tim. We're talking about the 80-year-olds from... Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love Tom Jones. It's just very interesting. But I will say, his voice is booming, even when he speaks just regularly.
Oh, yeah. And I may have told this story before, but I've seen him twice. I saw him in Bournemouth, and then I saw him at the MGM Grand in Vegas. And it was a small, like, ballroom thing, held 1,500, maybe 2,000, I can't remember. And we had a table about halfway back. And he's doing these songs, and he's doing this thing with the mic where, you sustain a note and you pull the microphone away from your mouth to sort of fade it out. And he's going, la, and he's pulling the mic away, and it's almost completely arm length away.
Was that a D or a C there, too?
Didn't make any difference at all. The sheer power of this man's voice is unbelievable.
I want to match that pitch. How did you do that, Tim? That's a great note there, Tim.
Let me tell you about me and singing. So I am a retired Love Shack performance artist. I have performed that in cover bands. I made a video.
I just heard me hit my table because I'm laughing so hard.
I made a video on YouTube with Jenny of the Freak Jam, which is up. If you want to find it, it's up there. Just find it if you have to. And I'm sitting on my car and singing the song and things. And then after I did that, my performance art in the vocal realm, I consider it retired.
I'm only giving you a hard time because Tim's an amazing musician. It was just really funny because he's all talking Tom Jones and then he goes, "Wah!" in the mic. It was really funny from my perspective. Have you guys seen his face when he was singing? He had like a fake microphone and everything. He was dead set on it. God. Okay, well, the institution that is Tom Jones. That's all I can say. It's very interesting to me. I don't know why. If there is some American out there who's like, oh no, Tom Jones is like an American institution and I'm missing it, please let me know. But I feel like Tim's lived in America long enough to know, because you are American now. Like, you don't feel like Tom Jones is that popular here, right? I'm not crazy.
I mean, he had a show in the 60s called This Is Tom Jones, which was like a variety show where he was the host and he used to sing with various people. And I used to have a DVD from that, which had various performances on it. And it aired on NBC or ABC or something like that. But he doesn't have the same kudos that he has in the UK, because he'll go and play a Wembley or a big outdoor festival or something and he'll headline it and he'll be very popular. But if Tom Jones was coming to the Roanoke Civic Centre, I don't think it would be a thing.
I don't know why. I guess it's just different things transcend. I don't know. All right, Tim, give us about 2 more cat songs. Let's go.
Okay. So this one comes from this is Cat. This is from the Stray Cats, which Brian Setzer was the guitar player of. And it's Stray Cat Strut.
I was going to say, it's got to be Stray Cat Strut. Well, you said Stray Cats.
Yeah.
I mean, great song. What do you think it's... So there's the fact that it's the Stray Cats and then it's Stray Cat Strut. Mm-hmm. Are they saying that cats should strut a certain way? I feel like cats do have a strut. So maybe that's what they're going with the song. Or
it's their own strut. It's like it's like the stray cat boogie, the stray cat dance, the stray cat strut. So it's they're singing about themselves, the fact that they're the cats that are strutting.
I mean, maybe, but it's like, it's like black and orange cat sitting on a whatever it says, that first line.
Yeah, something like that.
Like a fence, which I mean makes sense because they're stray cats.
But maybe it's like a metaphor for them that they're out in the street.
But that song has a great groove, by the way.
Yeah, because it is played with like a T-chest bass and like a very, I think it's probably just a snare drum. So it's like that very simple sort of rockabilly type sound.
Yeah, but it works because like when I can't imagine singing a song about like, if it's about them and they're saying they're cats, or if it's about an actual stray cat, whatever your thoughts are, as me and Tim were debating. I don't think that a song about cats would work very well if you didn't have a very simple kind of backbeat like that. Mm-hmm. And it's very iconic. And there was this movie back in the 90s when I was a youth. It was called Alley Cat Strikes. And it's about these kids who were bowling, obviously. They're down at a bowling alley. They competed. And that was one of the intro songs that, this day. So now as an adult, I get it. Alley Cat Strikes, cats. But it's very distinct in my mind as a sound, that bass line and stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's probably an upright bass, but some of those sort of musicians use like a T chest bass.
I don't know. I would be curious to know that, but yeah, the bass line in that song I think is what sells it, regardless if it's about cats or fake cats or people or whatever.
People pretending to be cats or people pretending to be stray cats.
So I just had a thought. I have a question. So my mom used to say if she ever had to be reincarnated, she'd want to come back as a cat because she'd want to be a house cat because they get to lay around all day and not have to do anything. Tim, if you had to be reincarnated as an animal, what would you be reincarnated as?
I think maybe an elephant.
I rode an elephant once. Have you ever rode an elephant?
No, yes, actually, no, that was a camel. No, I haven't rode an elephant.
There's a very distinct difference between an elephant and a camel. So, Tim, have you been drinking? I'm sorry, sir. We're going to take your license. Do not drive. No. So, funny story about the time I rode an elephant. I rode one when I was a kid because they used to have them at like the circuses and stuff, right? You could go and they walked them on the thing. And now as the vegetarian animal rights activist, I feel bad about this because I feel like that was really sad, right?
Yeah. I mean, what happens when you're a kid, and especially what was considered cool years ago, you can look back on it and think that was a bad thing, but now you shouldn't be riding camels or elephants. I mean, especially like elephants are so intelligent, and they are amazing animals, and you shouldn't be sticking them in circuses and having kids ride on them.
Well, when I was about 14, we went back to the circus and they asked me if I wanted to ride the elephant. Mind you, I weighed like 110 pounds at this point in my life. I was very small. I don't know what that is in the European thing, but whatever. So it's very small. I was just like 14 years old and they asked me, do you want to ride the elephant again? I was like, no, I meant to say I'm too old to ride an elephant, but I said, I'm too big to ride an elephant now. The guy looked at me and went, you're too big to ride an elephant. Not my smartest move. I don't know what I would come back as. I don't know. I think the house cat's a pretty good option.
Sure.
And I have a theory that pets are smarter than us because they get to just do whatever they want all day while we have to provide for them.
Yeah, and that's exactly Jack's life.
It's my dog's life too. I mean, I literally, Tim, wake up at 3 a.m. and take him out in the pouring rain because he whines like he asked me to. Like, I gave him his wet food. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day to give this boy his bowl of wet food specifically. Like, he gets a gourmet breakfast every morning. And what do I get? A piece of toast while I walk out the door. Smarter than us, Tim. They're smarter than us.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know. I feel like if I were reincarnated, I would come back as... I can't think of anything. I mean, maybe like something flying. Like, I think it'd be cool to be like a bird. Maybe I'll be an eagle.
An eagle. There you go.
Be an eagle. All right, Tim, give us one more cat song.
Okay, so I have a number of ones to pick, but I think I'm going to go with this one. This is Avril Lavigne from her album Let Go from 2002. And this is complicated.
Feel good about that one, Tim? You write that one. You chuckle a little bit when you wrote it down. Did you pat yourself on the back there, bud?
I tell you, I was incredibly pleased with myself.
His hands actually sore from the back. For anybody who doesn't realize that was Tim's play on words there, friends.
I know, it's complicated.
I mean, technically it does say cat in the middle.
There we are, see.
I see what you did there, Tim.
If the podcast police come down on me, I have it here.
It'll be from me muttering under my words earlier about a certain person we left off about cats. I heard the laugh, Tim. You know what I said. Complicated. I mean, I love old school Avril. It was my high emo phase when Avril came out. Given I'm not as big of a fan of her now, but for what she was, she's fantastic.
Sure. I mean, I played Skater Boy in a band. I don't think I've played complicated before, but no, it's an era of like sort of that kind of skater punk rock pop music that we've spoken about Avril at length.
Well,
and stuff.
They call it like pop punk, I think is the term that people use or whatever. So It's like pop meets punk rock, which I grew up. I mean, I saw The Used, I saw Good Charlotte, I saw Bowling for Soup, all those bands live. They're some of my like diehards, and Avril was great. And her song from a few years back, Gives You Hell. I hadn't listened to Avril in years. Or no, is it Gives You Hell? What is it? It's the one about, it literally says the word hell in it. Whatever that song is, I'll look it up in a second, was fantastic. And I hadn't thought about her in a long time. And just randomly one day on YouTube, like I was just listening to music and it came up and I was like, who is this? And it was Avril. And I was like, I love this. And so like, she's one of those people that I kind of think is underrated because I feel like I forget about her from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What is the name of that song? Avril Lavigne.
This is a big goog show. There's been a lot of googing going on.
Why can't I think of that song? Well, it's on my YouTubes because I listen to it a lot. So it's probably the only Avril song that like I'd actually Google. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. There is Complicated popped up when I was typing her name. Tim.
There we are. See, that's a big one. Complicated.
What is that song? What the Hell? That's what it's called. Gives You Hell is the All-American Reject song. But it's called What the Hell. And I hadn't heard that in years. And for some reason, that's like one of those songs now that I absolutely adore. And I'm not a huge Avril fan in the sense that like she's a long-stemming artist. But back in the day when she was in her early ages, I liked Girlfriend, I liked Skater Boy, and I liked Complicated. Complicated. I'm never going to hear it the same now, so thank you for that.
And with those thoughts, happy thoughts of complicated, we will leave it here for this week.
This was a hell of an episode.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
To find me out another day to come.